Hello everyone, today I'm looking at Grand Theft Auto 3. So this is kind of the first game in the Grand Theft Auto series that went 3D and the huge impact it made and, really kind of cemented GTA as not only I would say, normie game, but almost a household name. If not this one, then definitely its sequels Vice City and San Andreas, but today we're just talking about 3 for now. It's really interesting to look at this game and to see this is kind of where it really branched out into the style of game that we know today. I find it just really interesting in general that the first two GTA games, which I do vaguely remember playing at a friend's house, were top-down 2D games, and they were very kind of they were fun, they were silly, they still had that element of chaos, but they were very much how would I say, very, kind of almost small, kind of silly games in a way. The whole aspect of the game is that you're going to go around and blow up as much stuff as possible and shoot the cops and blow up cars and stuff, and that's pretty much what it was. And it was more of a destruction simulator rather than the big immersive fun interesting world that we know Grand Theft Auto for today. And it's just so interesting to see how it is scaled from that 2D version to this. And again, with a lot of games, when they jump into 3D the first time, they usually do a really good job, and this is no exception. GTA 3, while it lacks a lot of flair of the future games, it's still a very well-made game. Some things I find interesting about it is one thing that even the developers of Rockstar, cited is that anyone who said that they haven't stolen from Nintendo or specifically Zelda when doing 3D is obviously lying, and I find that very funny slash interesting, because when you target someone in this game, the reticle that you use is almost similar to Zelda, and I always like to think that they share the same universe somehow. But anyway, I digress. What is really interesting about this game is honestly the mood and tone. I was shocked to see that, it just felt very almost depressing in a way. It felt like very oppressive, like there was not a lot of hope or future. What's odd about it is that the story is not really the main focus. I mean, it kind of is, but again, like they're coming from a storyless background, so when you open up this game, it's just about doing a mission and doing a mission, and it's kind of like you just work as a hitman or a goon or a thug for these people until you end up taking them out. And it's kind of like that's the skeleton of every GTA game, but here it's very much just a skeleton. You basically are in this armed bank robbery. You end up, being taken out and betrayed, and essentially you get out of prison and they're transferring you, and they end up trying to take you out on the bridge, and you end up escaping, get into a safe house, and then you just jump into missions from there. And so it's kind of like the gameplay really holds a lot of this. There is voice acting and there are characters, but they're not really important or interesting. The one very fascinating thing about this entire game experience that I didn't really notice until I beat it is that the main character, Claude, does not talk. He has no voice lines, nothing. He does not say a word, and it's really strange how he just sits there, gets the information, and just goes along with the side characters, and they kind of drive the story and tell you where to go and what to do. I think what's interesting about this game in general is again the atmosphere. I mean, I think there was something about this game coming out around 2001, how 9/11 had happened, and they had to, I think, remove the Twin Towers from the landscape, since Liberty City here is based off, of course, New York. What I find is, I know the world itself has always been pretty much, in a word, dead. The world, the only music in the world is when you get into a vehicle or a car. But I find it really weird and interesting in this game because essentially The atmosphere in Liberty City here feels almost like a horror movie. I don't know how to describe it, but it feels very oppressive and empty. But like it's a kind of a nihilism that pervades the whole thing. It's really interesting, and I'm not sure what to make of it. The other thing I also noticed is that the level of selection of music is also very interesting. In the future GTA games, you would have actual licensed songs, but here they have. I mean, they are real songs, but some of them, but a lot of them are just kind of very like off-brand, offbeat, weird songs that you just from bands you've never heard of, and it's just overall a very strange atmosphere, and the music really adds to that. I find that there's more so jungle music. There's a station for that. Of course, you have Chatterbox, which is a series favorite. I love the talk show channels. They're always funny in these games. But yeah, the music is just really different in this game. And just have a certain style where like there's jungle reggae and like all this other weird stuff. And it's just such an interesting mood. And it's so, I don't know, there's something very unique about GTA 3 as the first one in the 3D series because I don't know. It just feels very distinct and odd and very somber at the same time in a very strange way. I'm not sure what else to say about it. In the game, it pretty much works as the rest of the games do. You press triangle or Y to, get into a car and hijack it. You have an array of weapons, machine guns, pistols, assault rifles, rocket launchers, I believe. Hand-to-hand weapons, obviously. You have a bunch of weird, funny side missions where, you have to do things like evade police or deliver a payload to a construction site and take out the foreman. And, the structure of all the GTA games is pretty much just a copy of this one. They're all very, very similar. I think, honestly, it's the rain. It's the atmosphere that, I don't know, it feels... It feels like a living world, but again, it feels like a dream world almost, maybe because of the technological limitations. And as you unlock different parts of the map, they're fairly interesting, but yeah, again, there's no real overarching story here, except who's the bigger mob boss, who's the bigger bad guy. Something else that on the music part that took me aback, I'm not sure if this is in the other games, but they had a classical music station that always played like Italian opera. That's like a thing, obviously, in lots of cars. The radio always has that one classical station, and that's not in the other GTA games, which I find kind of odd unless I'm misremembering, but yeah. Again, the game starts by, doing escort missions, taking care of these prostitutes essentially, making sure they're safe, driving them around, then you start doing hits and stuff. And, the game is very much just based around, just different kinds of movie tropes and odd jobs and stuff like that. But whereas the next kind of games in the series are very boastful and triumphant and very cool and kind of edgy, this one feels very somber. You really feel like a depressed middle-aged man, in New York. It's a really weird vibe, and I was not really expecting it when I played, but yeah, it's a good game. I would recommend it even today. It's still good. It definitely has some not some callbacks, but I guess some call forwards to other games in the series. Or one of the strangest things I saw was that in GTA 5, when you create your custom multiplayer character, you can choose their look by genetics, and one of the characters you can choose from is Claude from this game. So, just really weird, interesting things. There are probably some returning characters from this game. I can't actually remember exactly any specific ones. There's a whole cool side mission in Chinatown. We have to take out the triads and the mafia there. The final mission is this big mission by the electric dam, and everyone's trying to basically take you out, and you got to save the girl and all that stuff. And it's kind of like played for laughs in the credits, but she keeps talking about like all the things she's been through and what she's going to tell all her friends, and she's super annoying. and the screen fades to black and you just hear a gunshot, implying Claude like just shot her in the face. But yeah, the game again, its ending, it just kind of ends in the sense that like you just go from mission to mission, and I didn't even realize it was the last mission. I was like, oh, there's this big dam fight or whatever. And then suddenly there was a little like cutscene about oh, there was a local police authorities say there was a huge fight on the pier today and blah blah blah, and like, and the credits rolled. I was like, what? Okay, so again, this game is pretty linear. You have some characters, but it's pretty much like a GTA game without any overarching story. I mean, there are colorful characters and interesting characters in this game, but they're not the main thing. It's really, I don't know, it's very odd. The driving looks more or less the same. The combat looks more or less the same up until GTA 4, when they kind of redid everything and gave it a fresh coat of paint. There are other things where you can do side missions where you go on rampages and races and all this stuff. Again, I just think it's odd / interesting that the main character does not talk. It adds a level of, I don't know, something to the game. And the ambience of the world is really interesting. And of course, Chatterbox, again, is just really funny. It's always funny. Again, I think what made GTA so successful as the years went on is that it appealed to car guys and to like action guys. And the fact there wasn't anything superfluous about this game, even though you did have crazy characters, because your character was kind of like the static foil that was always the rational one that is just experiencing this crazy world through them, that you didn't have to feel weird or awkward for engaging in these weird eccentric things or characters. Again, even though this game is dated, I'd still recommend it. It's still really interesting just to experience, and I'd love to hear people's opinion on just the first hour of playing the game and how they felt, because it just was this very bizarre, surreal thing where you're in this fake real world, and I love games from this this timeline or from this time frame where they're trying to create something realistic without keeping it still entertaining and a little bit abstract. Of course, you have boats and I think also helicopters and other stuff like that. But I don't think I really have much to say about this game because there really is not a strong story. It's just what you see is what you get. It is the game itself. And even though there's, again, there is no overarching story, I think it's the unspoken tone of the game, which I found super interesting. And again, it was somber. I've never played a GTA game that was I could describe as somber. It's always been, massive and big and cool and creepy or crazy, but it's never been something introspective and kind of laid or pushed back, so to speak. Anyway, guys, I think with that's kind of all I can speak on this game for, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.